today we have with us Taylor and Philippe Wells from Prana Power Yoga. They have been teaching yoga for over 15 years. They have 5 studios located in the Northeast. They're just about to complete on their 5th. We're very, very excited for you. And you guys also have a restaurant you're about to open, or has it already opened?
It's been open for about 1.5 years now.
And a wonderful restaurant that they have.
At Prana Power Yoga, we are all about accessibility and feeling at home. And so while our yoga classes are incredibly powerful and I don't want to say strenuous, but challenging.
I mean, part of it is that we, first of all, every yoga pose that we teach, even though it's one pose, has a lot of modifications and a lot of variations, and we teach them in such a way. I mean, you know, the alternative would be to teach poses that only certain people can access, and we don't believe in that. You know, like, you don't go in there and say, oh, you know, everyone now come into your handstand and do this version of it. You know, because there is no other version of it. So every pose that we teach has multiple variations and modifications, and of course we also give people the modifications. Or, you know, again, if it's an injury, like, first thing that happens with an injury is people stop using that area of their body. Oh, I have an injured knee. Oh, I have an injured hip. You know, something like this. And then they just move away from it and compensate by using only the other leg or only the other hip or something like that. And what we do is we encourage people to actually develop an awareness again of that area, and gradually work their way back into it, and so they can understand. You know, because you're not
concurrently. And of course we all forget, and that's what yoga is about. You forget and you begin again, as with your posture and with breathing and with anything. And that's also what we teach day in and day out at Prana Power Yoga is, you know, this is a fresh new moment and it's never too late to begin again. So, you know, knowing that you forget at times or whatever, but basically always utilizing those 3 components. Funny story how I kind of learned about the yoga that would ultimately become my life. I was married to my ex-husband, and I was cleaning, and I was cleaning under our guest room bed, and there was a tabloid there that my ex-husband had hid because he was embarrassed that he was reading it, and I was kind of giggling reading it, thinking, you know, what is this thing? And there was a column, and it said Madonna, pregnant and loving it. And so I read it, and she was doing this Ashtanga Vinyasa type of yoga, and it talked about how she, you know, her first pregnancy, she was very nauseous and throwing up, and didn't feel the best ever. But now with this yoga, with her second pregnancy, she was loving it. So I had 1 child at the time, and I, you know, wanted to have many more, and I thought, well, let me try this, you know, try this yoga. So. So I went to a heated power yoga class, and number 1, I didn't know it was heated. Number 2, I had no idea what it was about at all, and this was way before the internet or anything like that. So, so I was clueless. So I walked in, and I was wearing a turtleneck sweater and sweatpants, like really thick sweatpants, and and I walked in, and it was very crowded. And I remember walking in, it was so hot, and I looked around and I said, why is it so hot in here? And these people were just kind of staring at me. Moments of joy were much, much, much less than they are now. And I was doing the best I could. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of like that. They're just keeping their head above water. And we're here to tell you that, you know, it's your birthright to have joy, you know, pretty much all the time. And for me, yoga lifted the veils of illusion of many things that were happening in my life at the time, and brought a sense of incredible calm and peace and clarity.
I was working in finance, investing in bonds and high-yield bonds, and before that I got a PhD in economics, and before that I was working for a strategy consulting firm. So it was very it was a different path. Well, you know, it found me. I mean, I heard it's just at a certain point bunch of my friends started talking about it. You know, there's a group of people, friends and acquaintances, who were just talking about yoga and the benefits of yoga. And I thought, well, okay, so this is, I should try this. I've always been open to trying new things. And I didn't, there was no plan at the time that, ooh, I'm going to start practicing yoga, I'm going to start teaching yoga, and I'm going to, there was nothing like that. But I really enjoyed it. They set me up and I was kind of off to the side, and you were in the center. And then the director said, no, we've got too many, whatever. She had like too many people wearing the same clothes in the middle or something like that. And so she took Taylor and moved her over to the side where I was, right next to me.
And then I looked, so I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, but it's happened to me a few times where I have had a dream about something, and then it kind of happens in your life, and you're just kind of like, whoa. So I was kind of mad to be moved, to be honest, because I was like in my spot, and she moved me, and I was like, oh. So again, some resistance, as Philippe had, and so I moved over, and I looked at Philippe. I looked to my right, and I went, oh. I don't screen things. I'm just very, what you see is what you get. I'm very honest, and I said, oh my goodness, I had a dream about you last night, because I had a dream. I had never seen him in my life, and I had a dream about him, and he said, this is true, he said, so I am quite literally the man of your dreams.
One day she called me and said, I have space, and she called me at work. I was in the office.
No, I called you, I was practicing at home. This happened first, and I said, I had this clarity and epiphany, and I called him and said, we're going to open a yoga studio, and it's called Prana Power Yoga.
That's right, yeah.
And he said, okay. And then
Talk about a pinnacle moment. Wow.
Yeah, okay. And then a week later, to the day, I saw the space, and we opened 3 months later. That's why on our Prana Power Yoga website, you'll see many photos where kids are kind of like running around in the photos, because that's life. Life happens, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be, this perfect pose and this, this like yoga journal moment. I actually think yoga journals should have more real life covers, with people, just doing the best they can. Also, run concurrently several times a week an adult heated class with a children's unheated class, which means all the super moms and super dads can come practice yoga, and at the same time their kids are practicing. So it's a whole new meaning to activities and bringing your kids to activities, because most super moms and super dads, they bring their kids to gymnastics or karate or whatever they're doing, and they take off and go to Starbucks or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with Starbucks, or go to get their dry cleaning or go to run an errand. And we love the idea of families coming together with yoga and both having the experience at the same time.
And that's, so keeping it at body temperature allows your body to maintain that flexibility and suppleness of something that you worked on in the first 5 minutes of class, basically all the way through until, the end of class. And it's, it's a process that we go through every day. If your body at the end of the day, after you've been using your body, even forget about yoga now, just you're walking, you're doing your regular thing. At the end of the day, you're about 10% more flexible than you were when you got up in the morning. Yeah, yeah. So it's a process, but if you and if you come to a yoga class and it's a heated yoga class, you get that effect even a little bit more, because as you're doing the exercises to open up and as you're getting more flexible, you keep that openness even a little bit more.
We have a foundation of the Prana Power Yoga flow that will be included in every class that you take in any Prana Power Yoga. And if not, let me hear about it. And we teach that to our teacher trainees, and we teach 50 students a year in both New York and Boston, those 2 teacher trainings. But then within that, once a teacher has that down, that clear foundation that we have come up with, then within that they can interweave their personality and their creativity, and so that yes, certain poses will always be included in this flow. and certain poses, like for example, you will always have at least four sun salutation A's and sun salutation B's, and those will come in the beginning sequence to warm your body up. And then there will always be 3 standing poses, and there will always be certain twisting poses, but according to each teacher, as they feel comfortable to play with the flow, they can be creative within that. So no, every Prana Power Yoga class will not be exactly the same at all, and we love to give our teachers, that leeway to, be creative and be themselves, and also to read the room. It's very, very important when you walk in, as you'll see when we teach in a little while, to read the energy of the room and read who is in your particular class.
Experience happiness is it's a community thing. It's not just something that I don't think it's as fulfilling or satisfying if it's just your own happiness. So having that feeling that you can share with a group of people, I mean, family is amazing. We love our family, but it's also something that we experience with our yoga community and with our community of people who come to the restaurant, or people who are open to these sort of healing, opening life experiences. So I think that's a big part of it.
And so, our whole purpose at Prana Power Yoga is to spread the prana, to spread the light, and so that people can feel that within themselves, that shiny, bright, glittery moment that that is within all of us. And we really believe that is in every single human being, and we see that in them as they walk into the class. We see that pure potential, and we remind them of that. We remind people who they are. Teaching classes in our studio, no, because one of us has to be home with the 5 kids.
The best way to learn anything is to just get out there and do it.
That's how the universe lines things up when you're lined up. When you're open-hearted and you're listening to your intuition, things flow really. That sounds crazy, but it flowed so easily and so beautifully, and that's what we teach people to do on their mats. And people say, how can that make such a difference, this yoga practice? But it really, really, really does. And you will never leave your mat the same person. You always transform every time you show up, every single time.